It's got everything. It's got inspiration. It's got perspiration. It's got lachrymose moments. It's life encapsulated in a podcast. You've got to get running.
Running, essentially, in its purest, simplest form, is one foot in front of the other. And it's just doing something mind over matter that helps you to do that. And on the plus side, most of the community of marathon runners actually like that, and they like being in that monotonous kind of one foot in front of the other rhythm, and pulling in the atmosphere of everything around. And that's what's special. Yeah. It's the atmosphere on race day as well, isn't it? Not everyone likes the training, but everybody loves the atmosphere on race day.
Getting people moving has to be a positive. And because obviously we can be a little bit elite-minded of fairness and competition, but actually that's not the relevant part of doing a marathon and all the good that can come of it.
Paula gave me the greatest tip ever.
Making it comfortable in the shoes is one of the most important things that you can do on race day. So putting a good pair of socks on, hold your shoes above the kettle for a minute or so, and let the steam go inside the shoe, and then put your foot in the shoe and walk around in them for 5 minutes or so. And basically it will just mould to your foot.
Virgin Radio.
Our next guests are both brilliant. They're really nice and friendly. They're really fun and funny, and they're really, really good at running. They're now combining their Olympic and world record-breaking experience in a new podcast, Paula's Marathon Run Club, with new eps every Monday. So please welcome Run Royalty, Paula Radcliffe and Chris Thompson.
Yeah, baby!
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you both?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
Well,
How are you?
congratulations, very well. Congratulations on the podcast. The podcast is brilliant. It's brilliant. It's what the world has needed. What people who are running marathons or training for marathons for the first time or the second time or the whatever time, as far as I'm concerned, we've been looking out for, and nobody's done it before. You two have done it. It's come out 16 weeks to go, 17 weeks to go from episode 1 and the intro episode to the London Marathon itself. But of course, this podcast can be used for any marathon forever. Yeah. I want you to do one every year.
Well, we hope to. We're having fun doing it.
You can have new Q&As from people and new guests from people.
And we've had so many
sending
in emails and questions, and it's brilliant because we get that chance to interact.
Yeah. It's hilarious that you sound surprised because you don't. You forget you're Paula Radcliffe and you're Chris Thompson, and we're like, we're just worshipping at your altar. Guys, this is brilliant. A round of applause for just how brilliant this podcast is. Okay, come on. It's so good. I'm blown away by it.
Oh,
sorry, I know there's no question here, but
because we just really weren't sure, were we? But we wanted to bring something out that supports all of those runners out there. That's not kind of preachy, and it's really kind of trying to bring that community together, celebrate what is amazing about that marathon family and that atmosphere.
There's more hints, super hacks, and bits of really like information gold in each episode of your podcast than I could find across all media before my first marathon. And boy, did I try! And I had you as well, didn't I, Paula?
You did.
And like, honestly, 50 minutes of gold, every single one of them. Lovely format. You two start off. It was cold the other week, wasn't it? So people were struggling with their running, and you said, well, don't risk an injury. Go on a treadmill if you can, all that kind of stuff. So it was like in real life, IRL. And then you have a guest in the middle. Then you do the Q&As at the end. And like the response you're getting is immense, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're learning all the time. We're having fun with it. There's lots of little gems that these experts that we bring in. So we're alternating like experts with celebrities that have turned to the marathon. We're hoping we might have some special ones come on in the future.
Well, if you can't get any, I'm available.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's just trying to share those little nuggets that people just discover. And some of them we've discovered because we made those mistakes and we've learned from them. And some of them we're learning as we go along. Like, oh, that's really useful. That's why we did it like that.
Within the running world, in our bubbles, there's a lot of information sharing, and you're trying to help each other be better. And it's just expanding that so that everyone can be a part of that and almost be part of that community and ask questions. And we wanted to make it as friendly, as open as possible to people feel comfortable to go, because everyone does the marathon for their own reasons, don't they? Not everyone's trying to break 2 hours.
It's about the why, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
And there's anxieties that will come up along the way, and it's just hopefully we can maybe bounce an idea around that might help with some of those anxieties, or even just say, we all have that. And I found this helps, somebody else found that helps, and just kind of bring it together like that. And it is supported by Children with Cancer UK as well, which is a phenomenal charity.
And dedication at the end of every show.
It
is a beautifully composed podcast.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, that was thanks to James and the guys behind as well.
Those guys.
He's giving a smile because we're one of the weird things about podcast is, you don't do a test beforehand. It's like you're kind of going at it as a unique. We're runners. We know running, and trying to articulate that and communicate that is not a given. You can do it.
Honestly, you've nailed it.
Thank you.
You really have nailed it. You hit the ground running. Because I was thinking, how's this going to work? Sorry, forgive the pun. I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
But how's it going to work? You are off. You are off to the races straight away. It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I love the fact that you are learning with a beginner's mind. Paula, you've just signed up for another marathon, haven't you?
I have two.
Is it Tokyo and Boston?
And Boston, yeah. I'm going to tick off the 6 stars before they get rid of the 6 stars and upgrade it to the 7 stars.
Right.
Because that's like one.
And you're going to go for Sydney as well?
No, I'm going to do the 6, and then we'll see.
You'll do Sydney. What about you, Tomo? Come on.
I want to do it eventually. It's but the fact because I'm expecting, not me, but my wife's expecting the next 4 or 5 weeks. So I've had to put things in order, because when we discussed this, I was going to do the marathons with Paula.
Right.
But I'm in the back of my mind. By the way, I haven't mentioned this to you, but I've thought when they do add the other marathons, maybe I try and because it's going to go up to 8, isn't it?
Yeah, eventually. But I think it's Sydney.
Because
Secret
squirrel. Because I retired last year, so I'm still finding my feet. There you go. There's another running pun.
Yeah.
With post-retirement and what it means to me, because and this is where I'm learning with the podcast is I want to hear from people how running fits in their life and around work, because it's all changed for me. For me, it was all about trying to run as fast as I can, trying to win Olympic medals. It's the challenge, it's the competition, and the big thing that got me in was the community, and that's the bit that's I know I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave those people.
It's getting ever bigger, isn't it? You have record ballot entry for the London Marathon, close to 750,000. You're going to have hopefully the biggest marathon ever this April. We'll see how many people pitch up. You got the Manchester Marathon on the same day, haven't you, Vassos?
Yeah, the Manchester Marathon always used to be a week or two before, didn't it? But they decided to do the big Marathon of the North and the big London Marathon on this, which I think is great.
I think it's
that's
fantastic.
like Marathon Sunday in the UK.
Definitely.
Yeah, more of that, please. Now, Chris, who am I to teach my grandma to suck eggs? But there you are banging on about the fact your wife's pregnant. You're not pregnant, though, are you?
No, I'm not.
So it's not you that's pregnant.
No.
And how do you fit it running, around training for a marathon, around all this busy stuff? So, this book here, Paula very, very kindly contributed to this, My 119 Days to Go book. So how to train for and smash your first marathon, which is a lovely sort of companion piece to your podcast. Your podcast is a companion piece. There are other ones available. And all the profits from this book have always gone to Stormbreak, Martin Ellick's amazing running charity. And what we've done is we've worked out that if you follow the plan that's in here, this is Martin's plan. It's my experience of running Martin's plan a few years ago. And people love this book and people will love this podcast, and just get out there, get after it, get moving. What we've done, we've figured out from the runs that Martin tells you to do and the training sessions, whether they're slow, they're walk runs, they're whatever they are, we've worked out if you run every single step in this plan, what percentage of your week that is, right? Out of the 24 hours a day of 7 days. This is not going to be good for you, all right, with your excuse, I don't have time to run. Week 4, that's this week, right? So to run this full plan, and very similar plans, you know where they are, Vitality plans or TCS plans or whoever. Week 4, you only have to run 225 minutes out of your week, which is 2.23% of your time.
There you go.
Right?
You've just been lazy.
There's no excuse. Next week, it's 1.5% of your time.
Okay.
Right? And it's only week 4. You've still got time.
You've got time to catch
so
up.
it's
Now that'd be a nice twist for the podcast, wouldn't it? Yeah. Episode 4, he's back in.
Working out. I think he means it's hard to figure it in after you've been spoiled as the elite athlete who's been dedicated their whole day to it.
We know the signal, but we're just fed up with the noise.
Well, this is taking a turn. So to add a bit more context as well, just to defend myself.
I'm only joking.
No, I know, because it's you're absolutely right, which is why it's relevant to bring things like that up and to bring it back to what I am doing. Is at the moment I have. The boring thing is I'm a bit concerned. I've got a hernia at the moment, so I'm in the gym. I'm in the gym doing.
You're biting too hard on this.
By the way, can you have a word with my daughter, because I think she spends the other 98% of her time on the phone.
Yeah, no, but
so she could do the training a little bit.
She does the 2%. No, but it is amazing. The point is, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So week 5 to train enough to be at the start line of the London Marathon this year, or any other marathon you like around the world, other planets. If you know Tim Peake, he can get you to other planets. Week 5. drive 152 minutes out of your whole week. That is to complete every single step of training. That's 1.5% next week. Week 6, 234 minutes, 2.32%. It only goes above 2% for 3 weeks, week 11, week 12, week 13. And week 14, it's 4.1% of your whole week, 420 minutes out of your whole week. That's for your longest long run. And then it drops down to 2%, and then 1.93%, and then you're off for race day. I mean, that is within anybody's gift to themselves, isn't it? And the thing that running a marathon taught me is how to if you compartmentalize anything, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? That kind of thing.
Well, that's what we were just saying. Running essentially, in its purest, simplest form, is one foot in front of the other. And it's just doing something mind over matter that helps you to do that. And on the plus side, most of the community of marathon runners actually like that. And they like being in that monotonous kind of one foot in front of the other rhythm,
That
and
metronomic
pulling
kind of
in the
thing.
atmosphere of
Well, it's
everything around. And
meditative,
that's
isn't
what's
it?
special.
Yeah.
It's the atmosphere on race day as well, isn't it? Not everyone likes the training, but everybody loves the atmosphere on race day.
There's crossovers in life as well, because what I was thinking, the percentage you're putting in, you get a bigger percentage back. Because that relationship between, I always think of it as above the shoulders and below the shoulders. If you have a better relationship with yourself, with your body and mind, it's empowering. Not just because I think a lot of the time people think of the marathon as this physical challenge. Yes, it is, but the crossover and health and well-being, but the crossover into the can-do attitude you can get out of it in anything is huge. Yeah, it's massive.
Well, I started, I don't know how many years ago it was. And I didn't.
10 years ago.
I
think so. 2015?
I think so. As far as the government knows, he'll put a number on it. So he knows everything. And it opened all these doors for me that I didn't know were being opened. Because now I don't drink at all. Now I go to bed at like 7:30 in the week. And you go, oh, you're so boring. No, I'm not. Because everything I was looking forward to at the weekends at beer o'clock or late night o'clock, I just get all the freaking time. It's unbelievable. I'm so happy. I have so much energy. I'm annoyingly happy. I'm more annoying than usual, Paula. You've known me for ages now. I can be more annoying. So in episode 2, after the intro episodes, you talked to your old pal from Nike, who was live from Oregon, because you two go back a long way, and you three go back a long way.
Yeah.
And so your mate, who was quite good at drawing, quite good at running, and quite loved fashion, but didn't excel at any of them, put them all together and became this super Nike shoe designer.
He's a super modest guy as well. I mean, he was very good at drawing and very good at thinking things through.
And the reason I'm getting to this is because in front of me I've got the Alpha Flies that I'm wearing at the moment. So these super shoes. And these super shoes now are making running more accessible to more people. And there's nothing wrong with that. They are the e-bike of the running world. Can you speak to that a bit, if you don't mind?
Well, that was what blew our mind, wasn't it? When Tony was talking about it, and he was talking about what was really strong was when he talked about what he wants to do is make every runner's experience nicer, more comfortable. And not everybody can go out and run marathons and can do that. So he's thinking in the future is actually almost getting to that e-bike stage where you press a button and your shoe gives you a little bit of help. That actually blew my mind.
Yeah. That is in some pipeline somewhere in Oregon.
Yeah, because I think they have a kind of prototype that they use in the army, because that's in the podcast he talks about. They have something, but it's big, bulky. The battery's quite big, so to make it a mass-produced thing. But that's his dream, because again, with this journey, speaking to these people, it's you get stuff back, and his infectious comment about getting people moving has to be a positive, and because obviously we can be a little bit elite-minded of fairness and competition, but actually that's not the relevant part of doing a marathon and all the good that can come of it. And I definitely think with these shoes, it's created a bit of a leap of not just numbers. So when we're seeing marathons, like the number of marathons, number of people doing it, I think the shoes have a big part to play in that, in a positive. But it also brings about other challenges, which we then talk about how to use them, how to integrate them into your running, and how to make them not just a positive experience, but also help you in your goals.
Because keep your body strong.
Keep it strong, exactly. So it's anything that gets people moving and out the door running means they're part of that community.
He said some outstanding things.
He did.
He said a couple of things that stood out for me were he said, yeah, sure, shoes like this are not inexpensive, but compared to other things, holidays, cars, expensive restaurants, and what they give you over 17 weeks, and then for the rest of your life, because the sort of self-esteem boosting aspect to them. And if you are going to give up all this time to train for a marathon, if you actually break down per mile what the shoes cost you. Spend as much as you can afford on the best shoes, not necessarily Nike, on the best shoes that you can, because you are worth it.
Yeah, and just remember that all the shoes are a little bit individual as well. So it is worth going to a store, trying on all the different models and finding the one that really feels right for you.
Yeah. She dropped a bomb as well. Because the best marathon, it's this one, in one of the episodes. So, in the Nike episode. So, Paula gave me the greatest tip ever, which is what?
Have you steamed them?
Is it the kettle one?
The first one is Paula gave me the greatest tip ever, which was halfway is 20 miles, right? And you talk about that a lot, don't you? So halfway in a marathon is 20 miles. So you basically jog to the start line. There are two start lines. There's first start line is I'm signing up for a marathon and hopefully getting drawn out of the ballot and then starting training. And then the second start line is the start line on the day. And so, it's not the beginning of the race necessarily. It's the beginning of you running, shuffling, whatever, 26.2 miles to collect your medal. And then there is 20 miles or 21 miles, which is where all the training really kicks in and pays off, because you've never been there before, because your longest run is 20 miles. So halfway in a marathon is 20 miles, not 13. Best tip ever. Second best tip ever, this blimmin' steaming thing that you talked about. Have you heard about that? This is.
You need to be a footballer, you see. Apparently,
I know, and it still goes on.
This is like but it does make sense. When
500 grand a week footballers still do what Paula Radcliffe is about to say on the radio.
There's a difference between running and football. You see, they have a little box that's all fancy, and they put the shoes inside it, and they get steam for you. Right. We hold ours above the kettle.
What the heck is she talking about? Here we go.
Do you want to say?
The best way. Everybody has lumps and bumps, particularly marathon runners, and my feet are far from anywhere close to the prettiest thing you'll ever look at. But making it comfortable in the shoes is one of the most important things that you can do on race day. So putting a good pair of socks on, hold your shoes above the kettle for a minute or so and let the steam go inside the shoe, and then put your foot in the shoe and walk around in them for 5 minutes or so. And basically it will just mould to your foot. So it'll fit more nicely around it without hopefully avoid all that rubbing. Since before I went to the marathon. I guess I remember I'm older, so the shoes, you used to have to walk in them before you could train in them, didn't you, when you got them out of the box. Now they've moved on so much, you can throw on a new pair.
But you still do it, and it still works.
I still do it if they rub. I don't do it religiously with every single pair of training shoes now.
I mean, it's shameless. I'm not plugging, but have you seen the light spray technology that's come out? That was put out in Paris Olympics. No. So the company I work with have brought out a shoe that actually does that. So they spray on the upper to fit round your foot, and you can see it online, and that's where, again, trying to take that technology to the mass market to enable, because obviously, yes, you've got kettles, but trying to make the shoe fit round your foot. So behind the scenes, the innovation of brands trying to bring what elites do to everyone, and trying to keep making that experience better and keep helping, because these gains, like these shoes, talk about 3-4%, which over 5 hours is huge.
Well, they say, don't they? The other thing you said on the thing, it was amazing. This chat with the Nike guy, they said, oh, well, lots of people say Vaporfly, Alphafly, other companies are available with the new super shoes. Not for me, because there's no point, because it takes me 5 hours. The longer you're out there, the more time you save. Yeah. I was like, of course.
Exactly.
Because it's cumulative. And also, if you are training, and as Chris said, training sensibly in them, so you're balancing it with the other strengthening work around that, then that's cumulative as well. So the more you're training in the shoes, you're getting the benefit of running faster in training, which helps you to be quicker in the race as well.
And you said, didn't you? You said during the podcast, Paula, that you didn't used to train in the race day shoes, nor did I. I mean, we are different, but we still do the same thing at different levels, and we enjoy it equally. I was the same, but now I train whenever I can in super shoes, because it's just better for my joints, and I want to run for as long as I can in the future.
Definitely.
So why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to go on a bumpy road, you want the best suspension you can get, don't you, I suppose? Yeah. You talk about goals a lot on the show, which is absolutely bang on. And you talk about your goals in the first episode, because it was the second week in the new year, and everybody's trying to do this, and that's why the London Marathon is cool, and the Manchester Marathon is cool, because it fits in with your New Year's resolutions, because week one of the training plan is week one of the year, of the rest of your life. And your goals to do with regards, Paula, to Boston and to Tokyo, what are they now compared to what they used to be back in the day?
I'm really not trying to break any records or to run quickly at all.
So that's not what you can do.
No, I miss being a part of that community and that buzz. And if I'm honest, on the Elite Women's start line, amazing as it was, and I loved every minute of it. And the support I got at the beginning of the front of the London Marathon, setting records, was amazing. But running in the middle of the crowd of runners is something else, and you can't bottle that. And so that's the bit that I just thought, I'd love to do that. It's been at the back of my mind on my bucket list. I want to tick off the 6 majors. Yeah. And this year, it kind of works. I really didn't plan it that great because both of my kids are doing exams and I'm trying to fit a lot of things in around it. But I thought, right, it's now or never. I'm 51 now. Get out there and just get it and manage my foot through it.
How is Paula Radcliffe 51?
I don't know
Chris,
how that happened.
Tomo, how's that? How old are you, Tomo?
I'm 43, about to be 44.
But were you roomies together at uni or running?
No.
We did.
You go back there, don't you?
Chris was actually one of my first scholars, weren't you?
That's right, yeah.
But you have a history, don't you?
Yeah.
We were at the same university.
Right.
And when I graduated and Gary, my husband, graduated, well, we stayed in that area. And then Tomo was one of the new groups of younger runners coming in.
Massive
he was
talents
on
coming
junior
through.
Teams.
Didn't you once thrash Steve Cram because you took a load of Tic Tac? You had a load of Tic Tacs before. No, Fizzy's Laces.
Do you know what? I haven't listened to the episode. Did that make it in the cut? Yeah. No, that was
a brilliant story because you were talking about cold water therapy to your brilliant doctor lady friend who's on the show, and how much should we have and how much should I do? And I do 10 minutes, and she was saying, well, horses for courses, but yes. And then you said, well, when we, back in the day when there were no podcasts, there wasn't any really science. If your mate came to running club and said, oh, I tried this and ran a PB, you just did it for the rest of your life. And you have your own version of that story, don't you, Chris?
So when I'd just come back from the World Junior Championships. And when you're young, like you say, you don't have the information out there that's necessarily ready available, like with the internet. 'Cause this is back in 1997 or 8, whenever it was. And I was literally just, like I keep saying, I always just enjoyed it, and I enjoyed just the camaraderie of going to an event. And it was about an hour before I was about to run a 1,500 metres, and I was just starving. And the only thing I had on me were the Fizzy Laces. And because they're quite Moorish, I ended up having a whole packet, and
fast sugar,
exactly. And
no gels available.
And I ran. It was 3:47, and I was about 17, and I think for 1,500 metres.
1,500 metres.
But it was, I think it still is one of the fastest times by a 17-year-old. It's not an under 7. It was like, and I was quicker than. So all my mates were like, "Oh, you're faster than Steve Cram over there." All these guys, but they
quicker than a Cram.
Chris
Thompson.
We won't say what they went on to do and what I went on to. I only ran about 5 seconds quicker in my career.
But the point is.
The point is, after that, I thought Fizzy Laces. That's the answer. That's the solution to everything. From now on, Fizzy Laces an hour before a race, and it never worked again. So
it's so funny. We've all got our own version of that. Mine would be like, pulling an all-nighter, not realising that I was going to do it. Then we did it. Then we did a radio show, and that was great. And doing that for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Didn't end well. Same kind of thing. My goodness. So, Paula, you have realised beginner's mind, because you are starting again in a different way, doing something that you used to do for a living with a different mindset. And like you say, you are learning things from the other side, literally, of the tracks.
A huge amount of respect as well, because like fitting it in around everything else that you have going on, it does get tougher. And we talk about how low those percentages are, but it still is sometimes quite hard to find that time in the day and to set it aside.
Psychologically it is. Yeah. But if you plan, the times are the times.
Once you planned it, when you get out there and do it, it's brilliant.
Because the the fact is, week 4, it is 2.23% of your time. You don't have to find that. That time is there. You've just got to decide. And I think decisions and rules are better than, rules are better. Our plans are better, aren't they?
But being flexible with those plans as well.
Yeah,
and I think that's definitely something that, as like a recreational runner, if you like, coming back to it. I've run since I retired pretty much every day, with some days off, obviously, but not longer than usually an hour and a half, the odd random long run just because I felt like it thrown in. But building back up specifically, I've been able to just pull in really easily one hill session a week and the long run. And of those, the long run, the muscle memory and everything is still there. But for me now, because I'm aiming for a slower time, it's longer out there. So that's what I was saying to Chris the other day. I'm actually thinking, oh my God, now I have to find 2.5 hours plus of my day, but I never had to do that before because I just ran it quicker in 2 hours 15. So it's harder to find that time.
we are available for you. Tomo, Elliot Kipchoge is back this year. He announced it last Saturday. How exciting is that?
It's exciting in the sense of he brings a lot of attention to the race and a lot of historical performances, which makes it exciting. But I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to be a factor in this.
Oh, I didn't. That's not what I meant.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the competitor in you talking.
Yes,
For
that's
us,
true.
it doesn't matter. We don't care.
This is
back, man.
Well, he was in Paris.
He was in Paris.
Well.
Yeah,
He just didn't finish.
London. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You know.
Right. Yes.
No,
I mean,
it does add to that buzz.
We're running in the same race as Elliot Kipchoge.
Yeah. Well, this is the.
And we might beat him because he's not as fast as you.
Yeah. I do. Like the way Monod ran last year, it's not impossible that this year could be a world record, and therefore, that's one of the big things of being part of a race or racing in a world record race.
Yes.
And it's not impossible that everyone could be part of a world record race this year, and certainly. The women's race will be historic. Whatever happens, whether it's fast or slow, it will be probably the greatest marathon ever run.
Tell us what is going on with the women nowadays,
Wow.
Paula.
I mean, it is
For
phenomenal.
people who don't know, can you
at
frame the last
moment.
18
so
months?
If I try and frame, I ran in the Berlin Marathon in 2023, and I was partway around, and someone came alongside me and said, "Do you know that somebody has just run to 11:53?" And I was like, "No, that must be in the men's race." No, that was the women's race. So that had already revised the world record from the 2:14 of Bridget Kosgei before that. Then in Chicago of that year, Sifan Hassan went out with Ruth Chepngetich, phenomenally quick, and managed to hold on even though she was slowing down in the second half. She ran 2:13:44, and then in Chicago this year, 2024, Chepngetich goes out in 64 for the first half and managed to hold on. I mean, barely slowed down in the second half and went through 2:10. So she ran, 2:9:57 or something. So phenomenally advanced women's marathon running, and now
more relaxed, or
I think
Kipchoge says stay relaxed. Smile through the
relaxed,
pain.
but it's kind of like everybody knows in marathon running, you don't go out personal best for the first half. That just doesn't happen
at any level.
But that kind of went out the window, and she managed to hold on. But she'd done it before in terms of going out that quickly and then paying the price. Right. So maybe just it was one time where it just didn't come back to bite her, and she was able to hold on and do that. But it's just moved the goalposts in a phenomenal way, and that's what Chris is talking about when he's saying it's setting up a race in London that is going to be mouthwatering, because you've got the previous world record holder as safer. You've got Sifan Hassan, who in her mind had done that phenomenal triple, but she didn't win all three of them, but what she did at the Olympics was amazing, and the way that race finished with the bumping and barging coming into the finishing straight off that course was amazing. And now she's suddenly got to think, I've now got to find 4 minutes to be able to go out there and get what I think I'm capable of.
I know how she feels, because I'm going for 4:15 this year. It's not going to find 15, but the slower you start, the more room there is for manoeuvre.
Definitely.
To put a little, because again, the last 4 or 5 years, things have just escalated quickly. To put another little bit of perspective on what's going on, especially with female marathon running, is when Asafa ran the world record of 2:11 in Berlin that you mentioned. In that race, she beat Jared Ward, who was the American Olympic representative from 2016, and Asafa ran in the Olympics that year in the women's 800. So you had an 800-meter representative in the women's race versus the Olympic marathon representative Jared Ward, and she beat him in 2023. 2023, ran the world record. So it's statistics like that have been happening. And again, there's a lot of advances in fueling. That's another big part. So when we talk about halfway is 20 miles, and we're going to talk about that in an episode. We're actually, to sort of tease, we've got someone who makes gels coming on, someone who's the brains behind and what goes into them.
Precision Hydration?
No, it's, so my wife works for a company called High Five, and they help she's part of the marketing team, and we were like, let's get someone on at the source. Let's understand why things are
because the gels are so much
They're
better now,
huge
and
part
that
of it.
ability to fuel.
It's all.
We've got to wrap it up. You're both amazing. This podcast is amazing. This podcast is. It's like gold, and it's free. Apparently it's free. It's free. You don't get charged for it. You listen to it. Nobody knocks on your door
We're
and
just
Alice
trying
saying,
to help.
we want 10 quid. It's amazing.
If you want to donate the 10 quid, you can do that to Children with
Children
Cancer
with
UK,
Cancer,
because
which
it is
very,
supported
very,
by
by the
them,
way,
and
some
good
of
luck
those
to
stories
all
are
of the runners
so
out there.
moving. It's got everything in this podcast. Inspiration. It's got perspiration. It's got lachrymose moments. It's life encapsulated in a podcast. You've got to get running. With these two people, you couldn't wish for better virtual coaches. Paula's Marathon Club with Tomo, with Chris Thompson, episode 3 available now. New episodes released weekly on Mondays. And Monday in most training schedules is rest day. So you can have a little listen to your podcast, or save for the weekend, or go back and listen. And you can send a Q&A thing. You might get a mention on the show. It's great to see you both.
Thank you. Great to see you.
You're
and
awesome.
good luck in
Thank
London.
you, mate.
Because you're working for OnCloud now, does that mean you're best friends with Roger Federer? Have you met him? Do you know him? Is he on speed dial? Can you get him on the show? Yes, thank you. Good. Excellent. Right, no, coming up next week, Roger Federer. Thank you, Vassos.
Thank you, Chris.
You're amazing. Can we hear it for Chris Thompson and Paula Radcliffe, please? And Jumping Jimmy Flash, who produces the darn thing, and the Frothy Coffee Man, who gets it all to fit together. Come on, guys.